Hey gang, thanks for tuning in, and today I'm going to show you, that sun is crazy, I'm going to show you exactly how I built this year's truck camping setup to be able to run a 6,000 BTU window air conditioning unit. This is not the first time I've done this. I've done this on the last two trucks. I haven't yet done it on this truck because I didn't think I would really be truck camping out of this, but the setup that I have here should be able to keep me cool, sleep well at night, and be able to recharge during the day if I'm out for more than one day. So I'm gonna put you on a tripod and take all this off, but this is what we have going on right now, guys. I've got a 6,000 BTU window air conditioning unit. This is my false tailgate right here. I've got my flated topper Velcroed, and I'm gonna show this to you all, but this is kind of the completed final setup. I do have to paint that trim black, but this is it. I'm using this carpet as kind of like a gasket type material to kind of seal off around the edges of this window air conditioning unit so I can't get bugs and stuff, and I did the same thing for the inside. But that's basically the setup. That's how it looks from the outside. Oh, and before I forget, I did use these L brackets right here on both sides and one on the inside. And the reason I did that is because I have a bed rug, and most guys that build these false tailgates, the false tailgate goes all the way down and actually hits the bottom of the bumper. This bed rug has a flap, so I don't want it really sinking down too deep and kind of stretching this bed rug. So I'm using these L brackets to more brace it up against it. That'll make more sense when I show it to you. I'm gonna take this all off now and show you how we're gonna run it, the battery that I'm gonna be using, and then we'll get it cut on and see how it works. So I'm kind of doing this backwards, and this is gonna be a long video because I got a lot to go over, but I wanna make it pretty thorough because I know this is a pretty important topic if you want to camp during the summer, and especially for me. I've done this again for the last 3 or 4 years. I've got experience running window units. I've got experience running Zero Breezes, Mark IIIs, Cyber Takes, all of the DC powered air conditioning units. And in my experience, guys, this keeps you the coldest. This is a 6,000 BTU. I've used a 5,000 BTU window unit, and even though my Zero Breeze is 5,100 BTUs, this keeps me colder. Now, normally it does require an AC source, but with my setup right here, the battery, the inverter, the window air conditioning unit is still cheaper than buying a Zero Breeze Mark III with a battery. I think that whole setup's around $1,800. I think this is cheaper than that. Well, this is cheaper than that. And in my experience, this keeps me colder than a Zero Breeze. So here's what you do, guys. So I'm just gonna kind of show you the actual false tailgate here, but to get my window AC unit in and out, I just cut a hole in this plywood, obviously. So I'm gonna push it in, and what I did, since I'm still can't decide on the flated versus miles runner, I kind of built this to where I can use both toppers. So the way that this flated is going to attach, because you can see here, guys, I've got Velcro on the inside. I can attach it to either this piece of 2-inch Velcro, so I can attach it to the front, or I can attach it to the top, depending on what I feel is gonna be a better seal when I get inside, but either one actually work pretty well. So this piece right here is a piece of 3/4 inch plywood that I cut. The opening to fit that air conditioning unit, I covered it with some speaker box carpet type material, just use spray adhesive. Then I left a little bit of gap inside the square to use as kind of like a gasket seal when I push that air conditioning through. So I've got 2 flaps that I cut just a little bit bigger than the size of that opening. So when it pushes through, this kind of comes over the edge of the top and sides and bottom of that window unit. Now, to get this thing put in or taken out, very simple. The only thing you have to deal with are these tailgate little latches. So I'll show you what I had to do to get that accomplished. So this is it. It is now off. That's all I need. You can see here I've got a little flap with some extra carpet, and I got these 2 cutouts right here, and those cutouts get pushed over this tailgate latch and actually this bolt, which actually holds the cable for my tailgate, so I have to take that cable off. But to get this thing put on, I just kind of cantilever it into the side right there, push it against the side, then I come over here and I push up until that latch lines up, and I push in. And that goes in, and then it falls down behind it and holds it into place. And I just use this little piece of, extra piece of carpet, and I hide it behind that to cover up those holes. So it ends up looking just like that, so little bugs and stuff can't get in. But that's how simple it is to actually put the false tailgate on. So I'll take it off again, and I'll show you the star of the show, which is gonna be the battery and the inverter that I got to run this whole setup. And this top piece, guys, is just two 2x3s screwed together to kind of create this lip, kind of simulating the top of my tailgate. You can actually buy these tailgate caps, but I didn't want to go through all that mess, so I just used two 2x3s screwed together to create this top. All right, for my main power, I am using a 51.2 volt server rack battery. They have the big golf cart size 48 volt batteries, but those were too big. These I actually prefer because if I really wanted to, guys, I could get two of these server rack batteries, hook them up together, and I could get over 10,000 watt hours worth of power. I don't need that much right now, so this one particular server battery has got 5,120 watt hours worth of juice. It's got a screen, it's got Bluetooth so I can monitor. It's got everything that I need, low temp cutoff protection, charging protection. We'll get into that in a second. The inverter that I bought, I kind of splurged because I wanted a good one. I don't want to be out camping, and I didn't want to buy a little cheap $150 China brand 48 volt to 120 volt inverter. So I did buy this Victron 1200 volt amp pure sine inverter. This thing was 300 bucks. This was, besides the battery, the most expensive part. But again, between this, that battery, and that air conditioning unit, it's still cheaper than a Zero Breeze. But these Victrons are amazing. They put out 100% pure, clean sine wave, very, very low idle consumption. So it doesn't take a lot of power off that battery to run this inverter. So that's why I went with this guy. It was a splurge, but I don't want to die while I'm out camping in the heat. But this is the battery that we're going to be using. So right now I've got, this is the charger plug that I will bring along with me to use my generator to charge this thing back up. But I just have it still connected. No point taking it off. But this is, I went with VATRER. Can turn this thing on. We've got a touch screen right here, but again, it's like 5,100 and something watt hours worth of juice. Let me just go ahead and connect to this app right now so I can show you guys, because I'm a dork and I think this stuff is fun. So I'm gonna go into the VATRER app. So right now I'm at 55%. I can go in and check all kinds of information that if you're interested in. It's actually got Fahrenheit for me. It's got all of the different cells and the voltages, so I can check to make sure not one of them is out of balance. All kinds of good stuff just on this charger, so I can lay in that bed and look at this. Or you don't even have to use the app. I mean, this is gonna be close enough to me to where I can come up here and check out the screen settings, so we can go into all of the different cells by hitting, this is just the first battery, and it's gonna show me, it's gonna be real hard to come through, but it's gonna show me every single cell volt. We can get back out of that. I can go into settings and do a few different settings that nobody really cares about. I can actually hook up that Victron via a communication cable to one of these ports down here. I'm not gonna go that route, but this thing has a lot of smarts on it that I'm not gonna use. You can hook up 16 of these things together, but I'm not gonna use any of these ports for my scenario. Just a really slick battery, voltage, capacity, how much I have left, the cell temperatures in Fahrenheit, all kinds of good stuff. So what I'll do now to show you guys how this AC actually running, I'm gonna hook up the inverter, stick it on top. I'm gonna use a tie down or a cam buckle and just get everything tightened up and push back under my bed, and we'll be good to go. But this battery, 850 bucks. That inverter, that Victron inverter was 300, and this AC unit was less than 200. So you add all those together, and again, it's, man, that sun is bad. So you add those together, and it's still cheaper, again, than a Zero Breeze, an EcoFlow, and I swear, I've had experience using all of them. This is colder than any of those DC air conditioning units. And you know, you don't have to get a $300 inverter. You can get the $150 inverter and hope it works. I just wanted something that I know would work for a long time, so I went with the best quality inverter that I could find. But What I'm gonna do, like I said, show you guys how this works. Luckily, this inverter fits right on top of this battery. So I'm gonna go get a cam strap, strap everything down together, get these lugs connected, and then we're gonna get in the back of the truck, turn the AC on, kind of show you guys how much power this AC uses, and see what else I can figure out to bore you guys with. All right, battery inverter is connected. It's under my bed, out of the way, can't see it. Now I'll show you how I keep this air conditioning unit somewhat secured, but it's real simple. Just get it in here. So it just slides in. What I did though was I bought some battery holders and I stuck them over here on the side so I can put a cam strap through that one and through that one, and to kind of hold this thing into place. And I'll show you how that works. So I'll take this little strap here. Tighten that down. Now this is completely sealed up, held firmly up against this false tailgate. Now just simply turn the battery on, get this AC unit cut on. So here's what we're looking like underneath the bed. Got my battery, which is cut off. To turn this battery on, you got to turn on that circuit breaker. But got the inverter connected to one of the lugs. I've got the charger connected to the other lug, and I'll show you guys how to use the generator to charge this up too. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing turned on. Gonna get my inverter turned on. All right. 72 degrees of 6,000 BTU cooling. That is pulling, the fan is just on. There's no compressor. Nope, compressor just cut on. But let's get this thing down to 68. And that is pulling right now 8.3 amps. So what I'm gonna do, it's hot. That's much better. Now a couple of things I wanna tell you guys, because this is a brand new air conditioning unit for me. I honestly got it because it was black and I thought that it looked better. It does use more power than the mechanical 5,000 BTU unit that I used last couple of years. That unit on max startup, when the compressor kicks in, pulls about 460 watts, and then it goes down to comfortably run around 405 watts. This unit right here, which is a GE 6000 BTU, gets up when that compressor kicks on. If you have it on max, I saw it get up to around 650 watts for a split second. So it's not terrible, but comfortably this runs at around 470 to 480 watts. So this unit uses more power than the little 5,000 watt mechanical only window unit that I've used in the past. But I'm gonna crank this, I'm gonna crank the fan all the way up to high. But honestly, it's not terribly loud. I'm not talking anything crazy, but we're pulling cold air. Now the other question that I get 1,000 of is, what do I do about condensation? These new units, guys, they don't condensate like the old school window AC unit. So my tailgate has never gotten wet. There is what they call, I believe, a splasher ring, or for the lack of better terms, there's some kind of spinner ring inside these that actually splash up the condensation against the condenser to help keep it cool. I've never had any issues with condensation. I've never had it drip on my tailgate, so I've never been worried about it. Now, I haven't ever used this one, so we'll see, but most new modern window AC units, you don't have to deal with condensation. Guys, I'll tell you, it's pushing out cold air, and I only have it on 68. Crank it down to 65. So let me show you guys how much power this unit uses right now. It is 88 degrees outside. I got it set to 65 degrees, fan on high. So let's see how much power it uses out of this battery. So that is taking 475 watts. If that shows up and if that's somewhat legible, 475 watts, 9.1 amps. I'm at 54% state of charge on that VATRER battery down there. So again, do the math. Worst case scenario, 470 watts an hour, and I've got 5,000 watt hours. But at night, I'm gonna turn this down to eco, and I'm taking this out, guys, this weekend on a 2-night off-grid, completely dispersed camping trip out in the middle of nowhere, where I'm gonna be using this. So I'm gonna take this complete setup, I'm gonna take my generator, a 5-gallon gas can, filled up to the top, because I know I'm gonna have to refill that generator. to get a second night out of this battery. But stay tuned for that video, because this is gonna be the setup that I'm gonna be using, because it's gonna be record heat next weekend. This is a really, really clean setup, as you can see. I mean, it's, I'm gonna paint the top of this just because I'm kind of OCD about that, but I want it to be black. So guys, let me show you what I'm planning on doing now in the event that I wake up in the morning and my battery is at 4%. I've got to charge it up during the day to be able to use this AC that night. So here's my plan to do that. All right, so this is the charger that I got. This is a 51.2 volt charger. So I'm going to take this end, connect it up to the pigtail that I already have installed on the battery. Then I'm going to get my little generator out, plug it up. This thing charges at around 1200 watts. So that generator that I have should be no problem, but I'll take this end, and this is kind of like a test run of how I would do it during the day while at camp. So that just plugs in. Now I will be bringing a 12 gauge extension cable with me to camp, so I'm not gonna have this generator right next to the truck, but just for video purposes, that's what we're gonna do. Now this generator is an 1800 watt running rated generator. See if we can get it started. All right, I'm gonna let it get warm for about 1 minute, then plug in that charger. Got the charger sitting up here. The fan is going already on the charger. I'm not gonna stay in here too long with that generator right outside. But I've got two ways to monitor this now. I've got a Bluetooth app on the generator, and of course I got a Bluetooth app here on the battery. So if this is gonna come through, I'm actually inputting 1046 watts into that battery right now. Or I can check the generator, which is the max speeding rods, yeah, 2400 GT. And shows it right there, 1183 watts coming out of that generator. Fuel's at 100%. The only thing I wish that this generator app would say is how long until it's empty, but it doesn't do that. But 120 volts coming out of that generator going into that battery. So this is a clean, simple, safe setup. So here's how I would do it, guys. I wake up in the morning, get a 50-foot really long extension cord, take that generator as far away from camp as I can, charge up the battery during the day, or at least enough juice to get me through the night, and then we go from there. Or, you know, if you're at a state park, you don't have to mess with generator and charging it. Just plug this directly into your power pedestal, which is what I'm sure I'll be doing quite a bit this summer when it gets so hot. It's not a cheap setup, but it is a cheaper setup than using a Zero Breeze, an EcoFlow, or any other DC type. And then with those, guys, I've used the DC air conditioning units all the time, and it is an absolute pain to deal with those giant ducts and hoses that you have to deal with on those type of air conditioning units. They might seem a little bit more compact, easier to use, but in reality, they're really not, because you have to have all kinds of duct work going in, and it takes up so much room. This takes up absolutely no room, and it just works well. It keeps it cool. If it was during the day and it was 100 degrees outside, I'm charging up my battery, I can still turn this on and still run it. I'm just not going to get the amount going into the battery, the full amount going into the battery. But if I'm just dying of heat, I can come in here, charge the battery at the same time, and still run this AC unit. So that's an option as well. This is the setup for the AC unit. So I'm excited about it, you guys. If you want to see how well it truly works, stick around for next weekend. 2 nights, probably 90 to 95 degrees that whole weekend. So this is gonna really have to work well for me not to head home, because when it gets that hot, you can't sleep, you can't get comfortable. It's kind of miserable. So this thing has to work. Man, that's cold. That feels really good. Close this window down. Absolutely perfect setup. I miss this. I did this for a long time, a couple of years ago, and you'd be surprised how cold it gets in here. Now, I've never done it with an inflatable topper, so we'll see how that works, but just an easy setup, minimum tools, nothing crazy. pretty much anyone can do this. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. But stick around for next weekend, see this in action. So guys, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.